Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a protocol that's basically the unsung hero of network security and transparency, Syslog. You've probably never thought much about it, but it's working hard behind the scenes on, well, pretty much every network device out there.
Okay, so picture this. Your whole network is just this big black box. You know stuff is happening inside, routers are routing, switches are switching, but what's really going on? How do you spot a tiny configuration mistake before it becomes a huge outage? Or, the first faint whisper of a security breach? What is that network of yours hiding?
And that's exactly where Syslog comes into play. It's the magic trick that cracks open that black box and turns it into a glass box. Suddenly, you can see everything. It gives you and your security teams the critical visibility you absolutely need to keep the lights on and the bad guys out. All right, let's get into it. Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with what Syslog even is. Then we'll dissect a message, figure out what the different alert levels mean, talk about where all these logs end up, and finally, tie it all together with why this stuff really, really matters. So first things first, what is Syslog? Honestly, the best way to think about it is like the central nervous system of your network. I'm serious. It's constantly getting these little signals and messages from every single connected device, telling you about its health, its status, and what it's up to. And believe me, this is way more than just collecting a bunch of boring text files. Syslog is the lifeblood for fault notifications. It's the DNA evidence for network forensics when you're trying to figure out what went wrong after an incident. And for security audits, it's non-negotiable. This is how you spot a device that's about to fail or some weird traffic pattern that just might be your first clue that someone's trying to get in. Okay, so now that we know what it does, let's look at how it does it. We're going to break down a typical Syslog message because to make any sense of all this, you've got to learn to speak your network's language. So every Syslog message has these 5 basic parts. And what's so cool is how they fit together to tell a complete story. You've got the timestamp, when it happened, the facility, what part of the system sent it, the severity, how bad it is, a mnemonic, which is just a short code for the event, and then the message itself. One single message about a failed login at 2 a.m., okay, maybe someone forgot their password. But 1,000 of those messages from the same IP address, now that's not a mistake. That's a story about a potential attack. And that's the kind of thing Syslog helps you see. Right, so your network is just chattering away, sending thousands, maybe millions of these messages. How in the world do you sort through all that noise to find the actual signal? Well, that's where severity levels come in. They're your filter for what matters. I love this analogy. It's just like taking your network's temperature. The one thing you gotta remember, though, is that it's a little bit backwards. A low severity number means a high fever, and that's the stuff that needs your attention right now. And this chart lays it all out perfectly. See, most of the time, you'll be swimming in the stuff at the bottom. Level 7 is for debugging. Level 6 is just informational like, hey, everything's cool. Things get interesting around level 4, warning. That's a little heads up. Level 3, error, might be something common like an interface going up or down. But when you get to the top, level 1, alert, or level 0, emergency. That's the red alert. That means something is very wrong. A system is unusable. That's the stuff that gets pagers going off in the middle of the night. Okay, so we know what the messages mean and how urgent they are. The next logical question is, where do they all go? Because where you decide to send all this data is a really, really important choice. Basically, you've got 2 main options. You can do local logging, where the messages just stay on the device itself. That's fine for a quick check right then and there. But the real pro-level setup is remote logging. That's where you send everything to a central Syslog server. For any serious security or operations team, this is the only way to fly. It's how you get the big picture. So right out of the box, a device like a Cisco router will just spit all its logs out to the console port. It's the most basic method there is. The big catch, though, you literally have to be in the server room, physically plugged into that device with a console cable, to see anything. Not super practical, is it? So a step up from that is buffered logging. This is way more useful. Think of it like the device's short-term memory. It keeps a running list of the most recent log messages right there in its RAM. You can check it remotely, which is great for troubleshooting. But just like our own short-term memory, it's limited. Once that buffer's full, the oldest messages get pushed out to make way for the new ones. Poof, they're gone forever. And the good news is it's super easy to turn on. You just hop into config mode and type logging buffered. And here's a little pro tip for you. You can actually specify the size of that buffer. If you're chasing down a tricky intermittent issue, making that buffer bigger can be a real lifesaver. Okay, what if you're an admin working remotely connected over SSH or Telnet? You want to see what's happening right now. That's where terminal logging comes in, and it's fantastic. It basically turns your remote session into a live feed of log messages, just like you were plugged into the console. But here's the key thing you have to remember. It is not on by default. You have to actively turn it on for your session. You just type terminal monitor, and suddenly the logs will start streaming right to your screen. Which brings us to the big one, the gold standard. This is how the pros do it, sending all your logs to a dedicated Syslog server. Honestly, for any network that's more than just a hobby, this is the only real option. It gives you a single pane of glass to see everything, to connect the dots between an event on a firewall and an event on a server, and to keep logs for months or even years for compliance and deep dive investigations. And again, setting it up is surprisingly simple. It's just one command, logging host, and then you pop in the IP address of your server. You do that on all your devices, point them all to the same place, and boom, you've got a centralized, unified log repository. It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've talked about what Syslog is, how the messages are built, and where they all go. But the biggest question is, why? Why should you care? Why is getting a handle on Syslog a non-negotiable skill for anyone in IT? Because at the end of the day, good logging isn't about collecting data. It's about turning a fire hose of noise into actual, actionable intelligence. It's what gives you the visibility to solve problems in minutes instead of hours. It's your early warning system for security threats, and it's your black box flight recorder when something goes wrong and you need to know exactly what happened. Really, it's the difference between flying a plane blind and having a full cockpit of instruments telling you everything you need to know. Look, your network is talking to you all the time. Every single event, every configuration change, every little error, it's a message. Syslog is what gives that network a voice. So the real question I'll leave you with is this. Are you actually listening? Because you can't understand what you can't hear.